Hi, my name is Ben Lackey. I'm responsible for cloud partnerships here at Couchbase. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deploy Couchbase using the Azure CLI. If you have any questions after watching the video, feel free to drop me a line on email or Twitter. All right, so let's get started. As far as prerequisites, there are a couple things you're going to need. You're going to need an Azure account set up. You're going to need the Azure CLI installed locally. And you'll want to have followed the instructions from our previous video to deploy in the marketplace. Doing that deploy through the marketplace accepts the EULA, the end user license agreement, for the images that these templates use underneath. There's no way to accept that EULA when deploying solely through the CLI. So with all that in place, you'll then want to clone a copy of this repo. And you can do that by copying this URL and then running the command git clone that URL locally. I've already done that and have a copy of the repo here on my machine. So I can change directory into the simple directory here, and you see a number of different things. There's a README that describes a little bit what we're going to do. There's a deploy script that we'll use, and it's kind of a helper script to run this deployment. There's also an Azure PowerShell script that has kind of equivalent commands. And then there are the actual ARM templates we're going to use for all this. Main is the main entry point. This is the parameters file here. This one creates a network security group, firewall rules effectively. Server sets up a VM scale set and everything within it for Couchbase Server. And Sync Gateway does the same for Sync Gateway. Right, so looking at this a bit more, let's cat the main template parameters file. And you can see here it's going to make 3 server nodes. Each is going to have a premium storage disk, which is 32 gigs in size, 2 sync gateways, they're this machine size, DS3, and then username and password. Cool. So let's also take a look at deploy.shell. And you see it has 2 things in it. It has Azure CLI 1.0 commands. This creates a resource group with whatever the first parameter is I pass in, and it does that in West US. You can change this region to any region you want. The region where the resource group goes is also the region where the other resources will be deployed. Then it submits the template and the parameters file. You can see down here there are also 2.0 commands for the second version of the Azure CLI, but those have been commented out. Currently I prefer the 1.0 because it prints more information as it runs, and it's just easier to understand what it's doing and debug. The 2.0 is rapidly improving and will probably reach parity at some point soon. Okay, so let's do a deployment, and this part is great. So in order to deploy, I type deploy.shell and then the name of the resource group I want to create. I'm going to call it Ben CLI. I hit enter. That's it. At this point, it's submitting it up to Azure and deploying our cluster, and it'll take a few minutes to run and finally print an output for where we can go view the cluster when it's all done. That is literally it. So I'm going to pause the recording while this runs, and then we'll resume and take a look at the deployed cluster when it's all done. All right, so we're back. And the CLI just spit out this output. And you can see here it printed the parameters we passed in, as well as the server URL and the sync gateway URL. And this is just for the first node. We can also access this on VM1 dot, VM2 dot, etc., etc. Anyway, let's select this guy and let's go over to our web browser. Open a new tab, paste it in, pulls up, and in here we can enter in the username and password we specified in the parameters file, hit enter, and we see Couchbase up and running. 3 servers as we specified there, all set up and ready to go. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back to the terminal and let's grab this URL too. So this is the URL for Sync Gateway here. I can go back to our web browser, open a new tab, paste this, hit enter, and here we have Sync Gateway up and running, all ready to use. Similarly, I can select a different port here and open 4984 and see another Sync Gateway port all open and ready to use. So that's it. One command, wait a few minutes, and something's up and running in Azure, all ready for you to develop on. Let me know if you have any questions and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.